So abusuya Sammy Gyamfi eguso hante NPP minority leader Kwame Alexander Afenyo Markins na allegations Afenyo Markins file against Sammy Gyamfi on gold board 1.7 billion lost HSA obeye ho press conference man we aware ya breaking news bebre e de amam na Sammy Gyamfi enye na adwen se obema Afenyo Markins so atono ense oba beka extortion ho asema Kevin Taylor eba ya oka se allegedly enka Afenyo Markins blackmail Sammy Gyamfi 10 million Ghana cedis Sammy Gyamfi refuse the offer na HSA Sammy Gyamfi extortion no ho asema okan no na onim de oka na enne Sammy Gyamfi on news file credit goes to Joy News wa there Afenyo Markins say Afenyo Markins enim say ono asema oka no say oboa onsiw no e wo court na osiw no wo court ono nso ensema obeba be brogu wo court no abusuya enye asem keto akra enti no Sammy Gyamfi still na no ogina Afenyo Markins ekon so a o che say ono no extortion asema okan no onim de oka enti no or there Afenyo Markins say on fane copy mo court na obeba beto na osa anso e kan say me say Afenyo Markins say press conference oka say ono no gold ne ye ntombo ka Afenyo Markins eko head Ghana Water Company ho no okokobo ka 3.3 billion and answa ECG as board chairman or also boka 8.2 billion abusuya Sammy Gyamfi or you stubborn mommy yanko na yankonkoti ensema Sammy Gyamfi editu dwa ye ba ye de aka ato am so unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so that ya any update be drop no onsa ebetumi akabina sa na be ko Ghana ha say open computer papa and a laptop papa na we use abura Perosi computers and accessories ho and obenya laptop papa na we using the location enya ira kwan o Kumasi Buokrom Estates Eli peke number na egu ye screen na na de ba kwa ede wo mni say okura low budget kra no Perosi ebesan so ama quality laptop ho nkwa na osika wo from obenya laptop papa na we use ye mbonra yenso mu ye ba ye de aka ebeto am so.
Yeah. Was he really serious about it? Didn't he sound like he was being a little jovial?
But what did I do? Me too. I just compared him to Kojo Ponkroma, Abna Sare. Kojo Ponkroma, Abna Sare, and me, Anta. All of whom are his colleagues in parliament, MPP people, who have criticized us. And I said, when you listen to those criticisms, you see maybe lack of information, but they don't make it personal. But when you listen to him, you hear malice for Sammy Gyamfi. Either than that, who can read these IMF reports and even suggest that Sammy Gyamfi will have to meet onerous bail conditions to the tune of 22 billion? Because this issue is not about Sammy Gyamfi. So you see the smear campaign there. You get my point? Then he says, Obi Antongo de Moka. In this world, the most cheapest thing to trade is water. You went and supervised 4 consecutive years of losses at Ghana Water Limited when you were board chairman. From 2017 to 2024, a cumulative loss of 3.3 billion. You were sent to ECG as board chair. You supervised another loss of 8.2 billion cedis in 2024. What on Suaboka? What on Kenya Boka? You are not asked to meet any onerous bail conditions. Sammy Gyamfi that has not incurred any loss. It is me who will meet onerous bail conditions. So
that's the point.
So
if the audit, if the audit exonerates you from the claims he makes, but why should you reply in such measure?
No, but that is why I'm saying that just like he can criticize me, he's also not beyond reproach. You get my point? So Sammy Gyamfi should be criticized. Afenyo Markin should not be criticized. This is not an insult. I am showing you that this is your record. Cumulative loss of 3.3 billion at Ghana Water, 8.2 billion ECG. You are not facing any criminal action and onerous bail terms. Why should you project that on me when I have not made a loss? You see, my brother, there are many underlying issues between I and Afenyo Markin that you don't know and those watching don't know. I have appeared on News Farm many times. Perhaps in this country, I have held more press conferences on political issues than anybody. Have you ever heard me use the word extortion against any of my critics? Have you ever heard me? Why will I use this word now? And why have you not heard Afenyo say anything about that, or challenge me, or threaten to sue? So the MPP people talking, there are things you don't know. I will not just, I'm a consummate Democrat. I eat and drink debates.
I'm not worried. You call the minority leader an extortionist.
I'm not worried if you criticize him. Yes. And that is why he cannot comment on that or even challenge me. He cannot. Because he knows that what I said is true. So there are many things that you may not have the benefit of. But let me talk about my good brother.
Markin is a self-made man.
No problem.
He's got the chain of businesses.
Maybe tell him that.
Why does he need to come and extort money from Gold Board?
Tell him that you want to be his lawyer so that he sues Sammy Gyamfi to substantiate that claim. Tell him. Or tell him that you give him an interview here and Sammy Gyamfi will come and that you should dare Sammy Gyamfi. That is not an insult. I'm speaking about what has happened and he knows. Now, finally, my good brother, Honorable Nilante van der Poel. And here I want to address our rank and file.
We're told his campaign is doomed.
Yeah. I want to address our rank and file. Honorable Nilante van der Poel is one of the people who have been very supportive of my young political career projection. I consider him a senior brother. And I know that he harbors no ill will towards me. But we are all not perfect. Sometimes, in communicating, something may come across in a way we never intended it. The man says he's sorry. I believe it ends there. Yesterday, I had a very hearty conversation with him, and we put it behind us. Because at the end of the day, we in the NDC have a party to build and a nation to govern. And so that is all I want to say about that. But you see, the feedback that some of the comparisons and the words were strong is duly understood and taken in good faith. But I have explained to you that that is how you crush deliberate, malicious smear campaigns. When somebody wants to, for 3 months, Sammy Gyamfi, Gold Board, you don't give such a person a peg on the cheek, a hug, and a bouquet of flowers.
Okay.
You call him out for the world to know that what he's doing is not born out of any quest for accountability. It is personal. And the reason why he is on that personal smear campaign is extortion.
Don't repeat that.
I've told you.
All right, thank you. How do you respond to this? The 22 billion Ghana cedis, 1.7 billion US dollars. He says the IMF report says your outfit is responsible.
All right. Thank you very much, Samson, and a very good morning to your cherished viewers and the panelists in the studio. Samson, you know, for some time now, some of us have been very silent in the media space because of the enormity of the task entrusted us by His Excellency, the President. I'm sure you've not heard me in the media for a long time.
That's right.
And even when people have made various allegations against the Gold Board, I mean, we've taken them in good faith as part of the principle of probity and accountability that public institutions must be subjected to. But when...
And I'll confirm that even where unverified, malicious allegations have been made against you and you have threatened to sue, I've had the opportunity to intervene and your lawyers have spoken to you and you have stayed back.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But you see something, somebody will ask, why is Sammy Gyamfi and the Gold Board speaking now? Why hold a press conference, you know, and respond to this issue in the manner you have done? See, the reason is this. There is a difference between constructive criticism by opponents or critical voices and a deliberate, malicious disinformation campaign. A deliberate smear campaign, not grounded on facts or issues, but intended to denigrate personalities and institutions and demonize them in the eyes of right-thinking members of society. And that is why we've had to respond to this matter the way we have done. And I'm so happy that your producers have, right from the outset, placed the issue in the right perspective by playing an excerpt of statements that were made by the
Afenyo Markin.
Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin on KSM show. In that clip, you hear him make a categorical statement that the IMF has come out with a report. And in that report, the IMF says gold board aboka $1.7 billion.
And government has accepted it.
And government has accepted it. Something that he ought to know is false. And I'm so happy that multimedia, particularly your research team, have decided not to be neutral in this contest between truth and lie. Because most often than not, the media decides to be neutral and allow politicians to debate endlessly issues that are easily verifiable. And that is why I was so happy when you came out with that first fact check on Addo on that $214 million loss that she claimed had been put out by the BOG and later contradicted by a figure put out by the IMF. And that is why I was so happy when you also came out with your own verdict, fact check verdict, that it claimed by Afenyo Markin that the IMF has said that the gold board has made a loss of $1.7 billion is false and misleading. Because this right here is the relevant portion of the IMF's sixth and final review of Ghana's extended credit facility, which they published a few weeks ago. And if you check page 27, paragraph 50, this is what the IMF said about the domestic gold purchase program. It says the domestic gold purchase program weighed on the financial sustainability of the BOG. The DGPP on which the BOG relied to accumulate reserves and to intermediate effects to the private sector has generated losses of 22 billion, 1.5% of GDP in 2025. A government cost-sharing agreement at end 2025 involving the transfer of bonds with a par value of 5 billion cedis in March 2026 resulted in the breach of the ceiling on the BOG claims on the central government. And in July 2026, the BOG Gold Board and the government signed a memorandum of understanding formalizing the transfer of the domestic gold purchase program activities from the BOG to the Gold Board. And it goes on and on. Nowhere do they say in this report that the Gold Board has incurred a loss of $1.7 billion. And if you look at
significance.
Yeah, that is actually a different report. That one is a special report they did on selected issues.
That's right.
And if you look at page 10, paragraph 13,
we are projecting that for all of you to follow as well.
What they said is DGPP operations have generated significant losses for the BOG. Losses in 2024 when there was no gold board and Sammy Gyamfi was sitting there somewhere in opposition. Losses in 2024 were equivalent to almost $400 million, 0.5% of GDP. 1/3 of which were related to gold for oil, that is G4O. In 2025, the significant scaling up of the domestic gold purchase operations led to losses of over $1.7 billion, almost entirely related to the gold for reserves Dory purchases. This amounted to a loss of 17% of the value of gold sold, by the BOG, and I'll come to that operative word, sold. Okay? So, and later on I'll read other portions of it. So you will see clearly that they say that this is a loss under domestic gold purchase program incurred by the Bank of Ghana and not the Gold Board. Now, something to appreciate the dishonesty, okay, of the proponents of this false narrative, particularly Afenyo Markin. You need to go back to what their earlier position on this matter was. In fact, in the last 3 months, the Gold Board has been a victim of this disinformation campaign right from the hallowed grounds of Parliament. Because anytime Afenyo Markin has stood to speak on any matter, whether or not it has to do with the Gold Board, he always finds a way of bringing in the Gold Board and stating that Gold Board has made losses. And it was for that reason that at that press conference, to put this matter to rest, we adduced our annual report and financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2025, prepared and published by the Auditor General of Ghana. And this is your copy, I will leave it with you. And Samson, when you check page 16 of that report, you will see that the Gold Board did not make a loss in 2025.
I've read that.
But the Gold Board made a surplus or profit, to the understanding of the ordinary Ghanaian, of 5.4 billion cedis. The Gold Board, from its own operations, generated non-tax revenue of 970.7 million cedis, from 307.7 million in 2024. And despite tripling revenue from 307 million to 970 million, we rather reduce our expenditure from 129.6 million to 109.5 million. And this is despite the fact that the Gold Board had more than twice the staff strength of the PMMC. We still kept expenditure lower because of fiscal prudence. And in this entire audit done by the Auditor General, not a single adverse audit finding was made against us. No breach of the Public Procurement Law or Public Financial Management Act or any law. And yet you have somebody, a minority leader, who is a lawyer and ought to know better, consistently say, the Èxt0rt Gold Board me anymore. Gold Board is a scandal in waiting. Procurement breaches. When we brought out the findings of the Auditor General, he spoke to City News and said, oh, the Auditor General was not told the whole truth. Gold Board did not give the Auditor General a full picture of his finances. So Samson, today I will show you what the Auditor General said on page 10 of this report. These are the words of the Auditor General. The Auditor General says this: we have audited the financial statements of the Ghana Gold Board, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2025, statement of financial performance, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, including summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes to the financial statements set out on pages 21 to 41. In our opinion, these financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the Ghana Gold Board as at 31st December 2025, and of its statement of financial performance, statement of changes in equity, and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Public Sector Accounting Standards, IFSAS, and the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, and in a manner required by the Ghana Gold Board Act 2025, Act 1140. This is the opinion of the Auditor General. So they came out and said, Gold Board has made losses. The Auditor General says nothing of that nature has happened, and Gold Board has so far demonstrated frugality, fiscal prudence. You see everything here. Then they change that line of attack and they say, oh, the IMF has said the Gold Board has made a loss. And as I've read to you from the two publications of the IMF, and if you don't believe me, at least believe Joy News Research Desk, they have confirmed that the IMF has never said that the Gold Board has made a loss. Now, when we talk about the revenue we made in 2025, for which reason we perform so well financially.
A lot of people, if you don't mind, first of all, what's the source of your operating revenue?
Good. Thank you so much. So, Gold Board, like any other SOE, is allowed to raise funds in accordance with law. And if you look at the Ghana Gold Board Act Section 18, the funds of the Gold Board may come from funds allocated to it in the budget approved by Parliament, or funds raised by the Gold Board from the financial markets, or funds raised by the Gold Board through borrowing, or funds accruing to the Gold Board from its fees and charges. And if you look at what constitutes fees of the Gold Board, number one, our license fees. When you apply for an aggregator license, you pay an application fee of 100,000 cedis to the Gold Board. And when we approve your application, you pay a license fee of the cedi equivalent of $500,000 to the Gold Board. when you apply for our self-financing aggregator license, we charge you CD equivalent of $1,000 US. And when we approve it, you pay a license fee of 10,000 cedis. When you apply for our tier 2 gold buying license, you pay 2,000 cedis. And when we approve it, you pay a license fee of 20,000 cedis. When you apply for our tier 1 license fee, you pay a fee for the application of 1,000 cedis. And when your application is approved, you pay a license fee of 10,000 cedis. Then the large-scale mining companies, before they will export gold, must bring that gold to us to assay. And because assay costs money, equipment, workers that must be paid, consumables, machines that must be maintained or replaced, large-scale mining companies will have to pay an assay fee of $90 per every sample we assay. And sometimes for one consignment, they are a lot, because from every bar, you must bring a sample.
Okay.
And we charge $90.
Right.
And when the large-scale mining companies are smelting their gold board officers, we call them field inspectors, go to their gold rooms to observe the smelting, to make sure that they are not under declaring purity, quantities, and all that, and cheating the state. And when we visit, we charge them $840 per visit. These are all in the fees and charges approved by Parliament.
Right.
Now, if you buy ASM gold, artisanal small-scale mining gold, and you are exporting it, whether you are Bank of Ghana, or you are MIF, or you are a self-financing aggregator, or you are a private exporter, whether Ghanaian or foreigner, you must pay an assay fee approved by Parliament of 0.258%. We issue licenses to refineries, and the refineries pay $10,000 as application fee, and license fee of CD equivalent of $50,000. We issue licenses to jewelers and fabricators, and they pay an application fee, category A, 1,000 cedis, category B, 5,000, category C, CD equivalent of $10,000. The license fee for category C is CD equivalent of $30,000, category B, $20,000, category A, $10,000. So all these fees put together is what gave us our non-tax revenue of $970 million. Admittedly, because the Bank of Ghana was the sole buyer through its aggregators like PMMC and Red Sapphire, and the ASM gold is bigger in size, if I can put it that way, than the large-scale gold. A lot of our revenue came from the ASM side. But that was the case in 2024 before Gold Board, even under the PMMC. That was the case in 2023 when it was private people who were buying the gold. So this is where we got our revenue from. We are not sitting at Gold Board just milking like a parasite another institution. Every fee we charge is approved by Parliament for legitimate services rendered, which services cost us money. And all persons who access those services pay those fees. It's just like going to the Registrar General Department to incorporate a company. You pay a fee to the Registrar General Department.
That's right.
If you go to DVLA to renew your license, you will pay a fee.
Right.
It is, those institutions are not milking you or causing losses to the state.
And these licenses you issue, at this time, we're talking about how many of them?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000
Over
of them.
1,000.
Okay.
And when Gold Board makes money, that money belongs to the state. So how can Gold Board make legitimate money from the discharge of its statutory duties, which funds are part of the funds of Ghana, and somebody will say that those funds have caused a loss to Ghana? Because Gold Board's money is Ghana's money, and the Minister of Finance can move that money just by giving the controller. That is why we can't open a bank account without approval of the controller. If it's a CD account.
At the
And we
start
can't open a dollar account without approval of the Minister of Finance. Our money is the money.
At the start of your operations in April 2025,
Yes.
the state had to sort of capitalize you, give you money.
Yes.
Whose money was that?
That is the taxpayers' money. So the state sets up a new agency called Gold Board. When you set up a company in the private sector, the shareholders must capitalize the company. You must give the company equity or debt to capitalize the company. So government says, I set you up to trade gold. I'll give you a one-time revolving seed capital as my equity of 4.5 billion Ghana cedis, which Parliament approved.
That's right.
But that money was not released to us until the 30th of December 2025, when the year had ended.
Okay.
And so it's one of the reasons why we were only able to begin the implementation of our statutory mandate in March of 2026. Now, having explained the issue around Gold Boss' own financials and demonstrate to you that no loss has been made, and giving you a sneak peek into what constitutes revenue for us, for you to see that it comes from many, many areas. And it is
Abusuya Sammy Gyamfi ena yete nenka ewo political highway ni so a abom ena esibu so ewo Afenyo Markin side enye asem keto akra Afenyo Markin dem ye sure pass press conference na obeye no woni no ho yede ho nsem bebre ebebre masesam je pene kokoti za ensem we ede ba ha gossip politics TV so